Here we got in this garden 2 weeks ago on January 2nd, and I guess you could call it the New Year's resolution. We have put layers down in here for wood chip gardens to begin next year. What we put down, the first level, we did some brown paper, construction paper you can get at the hardware store, as well as some newspaper. We liked working with the brown paper because it was easy to roll out, keep down, and put cardboard on top of quickly. We've left this little bit sticking out here, so in case we need to come back in, we can roll over it with the wheelbarrow. And we left a little up ramp to get up. Our philosophy here is set it and forget it for a while. So we planned to leave this to sit for the most part for the next year. If we get anxious, maybe in 7-8 months we'll start planting. But because of that, all we have is the brown paper covered by cardboard and then covered by wood chips. So what we want to do today is go in, and even though we just put this in 2 weeks ago, we want to do a test plot. What we want to do is do a test plot of onions, and in those onions go ahead and measure them, put them in, and see how they do with pulling back the wood chips and putting soil to see where we go. So I want to show you our equipment, so to speak, that we're going to use. What do you need to do what we're about to do? And you can see it here, cover area. So with that, we are going to turn over here to see what our plant is that we're going to try today. And we have them right here. They are onions. What onions need, or these varieties, they need to have full sun. Here in this area, there are no trees that will shade this out for most of the hours of the day. So they'll get that right in this garden. And that's one of the reasons we picked this location for the garden, by the way. They need rich soil. Now, rich soil is 50-50 of compost and soil. That's why look, and we're not planting seeds. Instead, we're planting bulbs. And here in Zone 8B in Central Texas, we're planting them in January. But look at that size bulb. This is probably 30 minimum to possibly 50 little bulbs, and we paid $3 for it. So there's bang for the buck there. So we're going to measure out right now in this space, in this area, how much space we need. Okay, so we're getting started here. I think most of us don't need this meticulous of a method, but just to show that we're making our rows 4 inches apart, I am marking with the flags that I have from another project as my markers 4 inches apart. So the first one goes to the 4 setting, then to the 8, then to the... So now if we go across, we're just going to mark it off the same way. So that's 1, 2. Okay, so we just modified this to make a little bed that is, instead of 4 by 5, 2 by 5. Look at what we have. We're not going to see anything broken down at this point, or very little. The chips sat in our house maybe a month, and you're going to see, all we see is wood chips, and they look pretty well in the same composting area. So they're not broken down. And this is why you don't ever plant directly in wood. You never plant directly in fresh wood chips. Why? They have not decomposed. And while they're breaking down, they need help to break down. And what they need is nitrogen. What do young seedlings need as well, or seeds? Nitrogen. So you have a competition, and with this kind of quantity, the wood chips are going to win. We have at about 15 inches. We come over here and measure to that black tube, give or take. It's about 15 inches as well. So this is about 15 inches of wood chips. So this side, we're going to just see if by measuring off our little area we can get in and grow our test onions. Okay, now we have 10 onions, 5 yellow grand text, and 5 1015Y planted in this little area. It's a little bed we've created in here, 5 inches deep with 3 inches of soil compost mix. That is the soil. and 2 inches of compost purely mixed together and planted. Now we want to water it in, so let's get to it. Reading the back of the seaweed solution, it says that we could have put in our onion bulbs to soak in 1 ounce of the seaweed solution to 1 gallon water overnight. We didn't, so instead we've mixed up the solution. We're going to pour that over the onions that we have over here. Go ahead and pour our seaweed solution over our onions. And while wood chips are meant to be a solution to retain water, not have to water-free system almost, the truth is when you have seedlings, you want to water them in really good. So that's it for today. What we have here is wood chips and seedlings. We're seeing if we can plant seedlings in new wood chips or if the environment will get to them because of the nitrogen the new wood chips get. We did make a little bed in the wood chips themselves. We've planted 10 onions, 2 different varieties. They've been planted 4 inches apart and 1 inch deep. They're in a little snug bed. We're going to leave the wood chip covering off for tonight because rain is coming. So here's our little bed of 10 onions that we planted. We planted them 6 days ago, and in that time we were supposed to have maybe a ½ inch of water, and instead we ended up with 4 inches of water, rain water that is, that came from the sky. So Texas weather, you never know. So at this point I think we're ready to cover it, which we can do with the surrounding wood chips. Now we've covered them with about 2½ inches of wood chips, and we're just going to see what happens. This gets no natural or no irrigated water. Because of all the rain we've had the last week, I'm not going to worry about them for the next week, but I will test the soil and probably water them for the next month periodically just so that they get established and see what happens.
So in other areas we have wood chips that have been sitting for about 10 months. We thought we would see as a side experiment how planting some of the onion bulbs in these wood chips would go. So we're making trenches. You can see they're not that broken down, these wood chips. They're primarily made of juniper, and we are going to add about 2 inches of soil and compost mixture and then put the onion bulbs in them. As you can see here, we've planted the onion bulbs. They're in their trenches and they're spaced the same as the other ones. The difference is, again, these are sitting wood chips. The other part is these are not in direct sun. They're under this juniper canopy. So a live juniper is still shedding its needles down on this area. If you Google around for allelopathic substances in juniper, you can see that this may not be the most conducive place to plant, but we do want to give it a try and just see if we have any results. So we're again showing, just like before, the breakdown. While there is some breakdown, there is a lot of whole chips as well still in this area. We also have a Burman swale, and we planted some of the onions over there. In here they have drip irrigation, full sun, rich soil. So we're going to see what kind of results we get. This is our first year planting onions at all. So we're hoping to get onions somewhere, and this gives us a way to test, at least if we do get onions, we can see how they do elsewhere. You can see we'll cover them with wood chips as they get a little older. Thanks for watching. We'll talk again soon.